If your home's cluttered and you feel like you have no more space in your home for anything else, I'm going to tell you about 12 simple ways that you can create space in your ADHD home that you can start using right now. The first way that you can create more space in your ADHD home is to take advantage of your vertical space. That is all the space on your walls that you just don't use a lot of times, because of the fact you may have a picture up there, but generally a lot of times we don't put shelves on there. And that's one of the great ways to take advantage of that space. And the reason this is good is because of the fact that all the things that you put on there are not on the floor, on the desk, or anything anymore. You've taken that, you freed up that space, and now you have those things on your wall on that shelf. Now, this is really good because of the fact that with ADHD, a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind. We might not see something and just forget it's there, especially if it's behind something on the floor or on a desk. And now you've taken whatever that is, or you've taken something else that you need to have in a place in your house or apartment, and you've put it on that shelf, and you always will be able to see that thing. And so anytime you're in the room or walk in and trying to figure out where something is, if it's on the shelf, it's really easy to find. The other thing about this is that you have easy access to whatever is on the shelf, because the fact that it's a shelf, you can take things on, put it on very easily, switch things around for the season if you want to do that, however you want to do it. But the cool thing about it is easy access. You don't have to open anything and try to figure out, okay, well, I got to open this and take this here, and then finally I can get to the thing that I actually need, like if it was in a box or whatever. Now, you do want to make sure that whatever you put on the shelf, you space them out evenly. You don't want to put a lot of things on the shelf and then there are things in front of other things and things just hidden because you have so much stuff on there. And then that shelf gets cluttered, and that kind of defeats the purpose because now you put too many things on the shelf. And so you want to make sure you just put just enough, have them spaced out evenly so that you can make sure that you can see everything on the shelf. Now, the other thing is, don't put things that are super breakable on the shelf. If you are kind of have a tendency to bump into things and clumsy and just, knock things off a shelf, that's a thing. I've done it before. A lot of people have done it before. So you want to make sure that if you are the type of person that does that a lot, don't put the breakable things on the shelf. Put things that if they fall off, they're not going to really break or anything. So that's going to be a very important thing to do as well, because it's good to have a shelf, but it also has its downsides as to there's nothing to stop things from falling off. And another way that you can create more space is to use the inside and outside of your doors. For example, you have a hook inside a door that you've installed, and now you have another place that you can hang things, whether it's a hat or a piece of clothing, and all that stuff that you hang there is stuff that you can kind of free up space in your closet on the regular hangers or something. Or you just need some space in your drawer, and now you have this hook installed and you can use that hook instead. And another great thing about a hook is that it keeps things visual. So it's good as long as you don't put a lot of stuff on the hook where you're just hiding things behind. Another thing, you have like 15 hats on this one hook and you need the specific hat, and now you've got to go through and look through all 15 to find the one that you need. Instead, just keep one or two things on the hook so you make sure that it's easy to find the thing that you need. Now, something else that you can do as well is that you can use a chalkboard or a dry erase board and put that on the outside of your door. For example, you have a refrigerator door and you just want to make sure that you have an easy way to access some place to write, instead of having a lot of different notepads all around your house or apartment, which can help. But if you just always misplace them, they're always spread out all over your desk or table or whatever, because sometimes you just think about something you really want to write down really quick, and you don't want to have to go and try to figure out, okay, where's my notepad? I go get this, go get a pen. And by the time you get that notepad and start trying to figure out what you wanted to write down, you may have forgotten it, especially with ADHD. That's something that a lot of times that happens, right? In general, you'll keep a piece of chalk or a pen just right next to that area, and that way it makes it really easy to pick it up and just write down whatever you want to write down real quick. And another way to create space in your ADHD home is to use under the bed storage, because a lot of times we just leave that space alone. We don't have anything under our bed at all, and it's just something that just happened to roll under there. We just don't realize it's there. But you can actually make use of that space because of the fact they do have containers and different boxes. You can use to store whatever you want to under your bed in a very organized and neat manner. And so this is a great way to kind of free up maybe that closet space that you store your clothes under there, or maybe you have board games or whatever you want to store under there as well. You can always use those things and put them under your bed. So it just makes it so you have extra space somewhere else in your room and in your home. Now you can really use it if you get like bed risers, which are these things you put under each leg of the bed that raises it up just a little bit more, and that gives you more space under your bed that you can use to store things as well. It's a really great way to make sure that you can have some little extra space. Now, the other thing about this is do not put things under your bed that you use frequently, because of the fact that you will have to go down, get up under your bed, pull it all out, and then try to find the thing that you want to use in the container and then push it all back and put it all away. You don't want to have to go through that process. And the other fact is you may forget that it's down there and you'll be looking all around for it and then just don't realize that, oh, wow, it's under my bed, and got to go through that same process just to find that item and get to retrieve that item. And so it's definitely beneficial for you to look under your bed, see how much space is there, and then figure out what you can put in there neatly in an organized fashion. And then you can figure out, okay, how do I want to do this? And then you put stuff under there, and that way you're taking advantage of that space. And another way to create more space in your ADHD home is to use furniture that has extra storage spaces hidden in the furniture itself. For example, you have some beds that have a headboard compartment to where you can put things inside the headboard. You bring that space out and then you put everything in there and then you slide it back in, and now it's hidden and you have that extra space filled up with things that you might need. And there are also things like a couch that might have a hidden compartment there. Or my favorite one is the ottoman that you have that you can use, and you take the top off and it has all this space inside there. These are all good because of the fact that now those things that might have been spread around here or there that made your house look cluttered and out of order, you can put them somewhere and have them to where they're just not scattered all over everywhere. And so it just helps you to keep your house more organized. And maybe use something frequently each and every day, and maybe that might be okay to have those things in there, but again, that still has to go through the process. You put it in there every day, and then you pulling it back out every day and taking whatever's out there, and then you replacing it later. And so that may just not be a process that you want to go through, because there is a lot of extra steps and time in there, as opposed to if you put something in there that you just don't use that frequently, that you just want to have somewhere that you can store it so you don't have to have it just out anywhere, then that makes it a much better situation, because then you only have to take that stuff out when you absolutely need it, and it's put away somewhere. It's not taking up space somewhere else where it's just out and about and scattered, to where it does make your house or home look more cluttered. And another way to create space is to use a bedside caddy instead of having a bedside table or nightstand, because of the fact that sometimes you just may not have room for that nightstand or the bedside table, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I get more space in this room? And then you have a bedside caddy, and you can get rid of both of those things, because of the fact a bedside caddy is a little small item that you can attach to your bed that takes the place of all the things that you would have on that nightstand or on that table. You can put your cell phone, your chargers, your keys, whatever else you might need for the next day right inside that caddy. The other advantage of this is it's much easier to reach in general, because of the fact you're just reaching down and then grabbing out of your pouch or whatever that you have that for your bedside caddy, instead of having to reach over to on your nightstand or on your table and trying to feel around and then eventually get to the thing. Or you might have to get up completely to find what you're looking for, because you just can't find it and it's on the back side of the table. Instead of more convenient, reach down, just pick up whatever you have in that bedside caddy. And sometimes you just may not even have to get out of bed. You're like, hey, it's my day off. I just want to relax a little bit. I don't feel like getting up to get my phone or whatever. I just want to sleep here or just sit here and just chill in my bed for a little while. I can reach down and get whatever I need. And another way that you can create space in your ADHD home is to use a rolling cart. Now, this is another solution that you can use instead of having a nightstand or a bedside table. You can actually have a rolling cart there as well. It serves the same purpose. The advantage of this is that you can move it to wherever you need to move it to in your room. So if you don't want anything right next to you as you step out of bed in the morning, then you are more than free to move that cart to wherever you want to actually move it to. and that way it frees up that space right next to you. Now, the advantage of this also is the fact that you have different tiers generally and levels on a rolling cart. And so that allows you to store a lot of different things on there, and you can prep whatever you need on there. Maybe you need certain things in the morning, so you can put those on the rolling cart. Maybe you need certain things that you need to take with you to work. You can put those things on a rolling cart. Now, if you do put things on the rolling cart, don't put too much stuff on there. Don't fill it up to where there's so much stuff on there you cannot make out where one thing is and where another thing is, and have to figure out, okay, well, this is on here, then your other thing is all the way, the thing you actually need is all the way at the bottom of the rolling cart in tier 3 of the rolling cart, the level way down at the bottom. You have to go down and get that thing, even though you need it on the top of the rolling cart. So make sure you try to figure out, okay, how do I want to organize this thing to have it to where it's going to make things easier for me. So only put the essential things that you need on there, and make sure they're organized the way that you need them in the priority that you need them. So you know that if you don't need something every day, or you just want to have it on there just in case, then go ahead, put that one on the bottom tier. But things you need frequently each and every day, put that on the top of the rolling cart. And that way those things are easy to access. And then when you do need something that you really don't need frequently every day, but you know that you need it at some point in the next couple weeks or whatever, then you have that stuff on the bottom, and you're able to go ahead and still have those things in hand and easy to access. Now, another way to create space in your home is to have windows in that room where you can let some sunshine in, some light in. You don't want to have the room that just has 4 walls and no windows. And the fact is that when you're able to see outside, it looks like and feels like the room is just more spacious and more open to you. So you don't feel the feeling of being in a room and just having all the stuff, and now the stuff might be cluttered, or there just might not be a lot of room in there, and now you feel like you're just kind of stuck in this uncomfortable position in this room, and there's nowhere to see outside to see something different. And so it's a good thing to have windows in the room. It's really cool if you can have a window in the room and you're like on the beach and you can see out on the beach. That would be really cool. That's my kind of thing that I really like, is to have that and would want that. But if you just want to see outside, see nature, or maybe you live in a nice place that you can see like the city lights across the bay or whatever, right? Those are all things that are really good. And so just having that option can make the room feel like there is more space there, and feel like that it's not as cluttered, and feel like it's just a more inviting and comfortable environment. And another way to create more space is a way that you probably shouldn't do, and that is to take everything and put it in an off-site storage unit. It does create more space in your house and home, but now you've created a new space that is going to get cluttered. It's going to be filled with stuff, and then you're going to have to go and declutter or get rid of stuff out of that space, which defeats the whole purpose of trying to create space in your home generally, because now you don't have just your home to figure out, you have that other space to figure out. And then the other thing is, a lot of times you have these storage spaces where you have stuff in there, you keep throwing stuff in there, throwing different things in there, and then eventually you go there, you open it up, and you can't see anything in the back. So you have no idea what's in there. You don't know what kind of stuff you put in there. You don't know all the stuff that you think you might have something in there that you actually need. And then you have to pull out everything in the storage unit to find that one thing. Or you just like, hey, I'm not going to look for that thing. I'll just chalk it up to a loss, because I'm not going in there to figure out how or where everything is in this storage unit. So you don't want to do that. If you want to have a storage unit, you just want to make sure that you put just specific things in there, and just don't throw everything in there, because that's not a great way to create more space. You want this is just kind of a, hey, don't do this. Make sure you don't do this. Find a different way to create space than to use this way. And another great way to create space in your ADHD home is to use the 12 by 12 by 12 method. This is donate 12 items. Get rid of 12 items or throw it away, and then go ahead and find homes for 12 items that might be around your house or apartment that are just out of place. Or you want to find new places for items that you just haven't thought about before. You may have things that just don't have a place, and you want to go ahead and find a place for those items and put them away. The advantage of this is that you're getting rid of 24 items just by donating and throwing them away and get them out of your house or apartment. These are things you have probably been thinking about throwing away. You just haven't got around to it. Or you're just like, hey, I just saw this thing. I really don't need that thing anymore. I can go ahead and get rid of it. But you're committing to getting rid of 12 items, getting rid of or throwing away 12 items, donating 12, and then making sure that you can find a place for 12 more items. The reason that this is good for creating more space is because now you have the space that was taken up by those 24 items that you got rid of. You now have that space to use for something else. And it's really good if you have big items that you get rid of. That's going to create a lot more space. You might have a old couch or chair that you've just been thinking about getting rid of, and now is a time to go ahead and get rid of that when you're going through this process and picking what things you want to get rid of. And that may create a lot of space for you, or it may create just a small amount of space for you, depending on how big or small your items are. But the point is that you are going to get rid of things, and that's going to leave some space open for you to use that space for something else. And that can be a really good thing, especially if you have been procrastinating about, okay, what am I going to declutter? I don't know what I'm going to declutter. I have no idea what I want to get rid of. This helps you to say, okay, I've got to get rid of 24 things somehow, some way. You go through, you find those things, and then you make the decision to actually get rid of them. And another great way to create space in your ADHD home is to use a pegboard, because of the fact, one, a pegboard allows you to take advantage of some vertical space, whether it's by your desk or somewhere else in your room. But the other thing about it is it's customizable. They have ones that you can just design how you want the peg to fit on the board and where you want certain things on the board. And that gives you a lot of versatility because of the fact you can put whatever you need on there. Cup holders for, your pens and pencils or whatever. You can have, a place for sticky notes or whatever else you want to put on the pegboard that's going to help you. And the reason this is good is the fact that you can take some stuff that's on your desk, that's taking up space on your desk, and now you can put it up on the pegboard, and it makes it easier to keep track of things. It also has the effect of, hey, it's still keeping things in the visual field of view, which is really important for ADHD. But the fact that you can just move stuff around to where you want to on the pegboard, that makes it super easy for you to make sure that you can access different things and see different things. And then maybe you move stuff around when you try to figure out, okay, I've got some new stuff I want to put on there. I want to take this other stuff off I don't need anymore. You can do all that with a pegboard, and it's already using space that you probably don't use anyway on your wall, and you're taking advantage of that space. And then you're also freeing up more space down in different areas as well. And another great way to create space in your home is to divide your room into sections. And the reason this works is because of the fact you're going to give each section a type of thing you want to put in there. Shoes, board games, video games, whatever you want to put in your room, makeup, whatever, right? So you have these different sections in your room, and you decide those things are going to go in that section, and things that don't have that same type of category don't go in that section. And that way you have specific boundaries around, hey, only things that are this type can fit in here. And then when I get to the place I can't fit anything else in there, it starts to look really cluttered. Then I know that I definitely need to get rid of something. And so that's the advantage of this. That's why you do this. Because of the fact then you have all your stuff on a common type in one section of your room, and it's not spread out all over your room. And then you also know that when you get something new, you know exactly where it goes, exactly where it should be. Makes things so much easier to find. But the advantage of this is you're trying to create boundaries to make sure that you don't have an overflow of stuff in your room. And you might be surprised as how much this helps, because of the fact now you have specific boundaries. You know that certain things go in certain places, and then you look at that place in your room for that certain thing and you see there's too much stuff there, or it's just about to overflow, or you know that you can't put anything else in that area without looking super cluttered. That way you make the decision to either take something out of that area, or you make the decision, hey, maybe I don't need to put this extra thing in there. Maybe I need to find another place in my home to put that certain thing, so it makes the room and keeps your room to have enough space between things. Or it might be time to figure out, okay, what's in that section that I may not need, and then you may want to get rid of something and give that away or donate or whatever you want to do with that thing. So it's trying to keep just a certain amount of items, just the types of items, one type of item or a couple of different items in the different sections. And another great way to create space in your ADHD home is to clean up your cords or organize your cords. You've ever seen like a table or behind a computer where there's all these cords going all which way, cords over top of one another, cords behind one another, cords crisscrossing, and they're just a big mess and jumble of cords, and you can't tell which cord goes to which things. And you might even have cords back there that go to nothing, that are just hanging out back there. And there's all these different cords that are taking up more space than they should, because that area is taken up by all these different cords and you can't fit anything else back there. And so what happens is you just don't use that space for anything else. You just leave those cords back there and they're taking up the space, and you're not putting anything else back in that space. You're not using it for anything else. You just have a jumble of cords back there. And so if you do organize your cords, put them all together, tie them together, put labels on them and everything, take the time to do that. It might be a big task to do that, but it's definitely worth it, because now you have those cords all organized. You can see what's back there. You know which cords go to which thing, and that space back there with the cords that you're using can be used for something else. Whether you want to store something back there, or maybe it's just a space behind your computer that you just want to have more space that people can see things back there and it just looks nicer back there. Whatever it is, you have that space back to use for whatever you want to. And the thing is, before that, you had these cords back there that was taking up a lot of space they didn't need to take up. And now that space is clear for you to use for whatever. And the other advantage of this is, especially with ADHD, looking back there and seeing that mess of cords, if you have one, can just be kind of overwhelming, can just make you frustrated. And then you look back there and you don't want to go through the process of actually cleaning it up. Instead, once you've got it all cleaned up, it just makes you feel a little better. And then you're going to be sure about which cord goes to what thing. And that's going to make using different things a lot easier as well. Now, if you like this video, I have another video that goes over 12 small changes that you can make that help with organizing your ADHD home, and you can watch that video right now, right here.